Welcome to Girls Night In Online. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Tara Swennen. We are going to be talking about how to dress for your body type. I am a celebrity stylist out here in Los Angeles, joining you obviously through Girls Night In today. So without further ado, let's talk about dressing our body types. I know that this always tends to be a very tough topic with a lot of women. So I'm going to walk you through it. Obviously, you guys know that there are many shapes and many silhouettes on the market and that trends are ever changing. So it can be tough to navigate all of that. But the general idea, so you know, obviously in getting dressed is, you know, the main things are to play up your assets, play up your curves, highlight your best features, and then obviously, if you can, create illusions of these things. So, you know, when you go shopping, I think most people generally know what they're looking for. It's the things that you gravitate towards. It's the things that make you feel confident. But that being said, it never hurts to expand your sartorial horizons. So that is what we're going to look at today. Simply put, as you guys know, your body type is obviously the outline of your structure. So obviously, understanding your body type can help you make wiser decisions when you go shopping, help you map out your wardrobe, and feel confident in every way, shape, or form. So today we're going to learn how to choose those strategic pieces while also keeping you stylish and trendy. You know, the goal, as you may obviously know, is you want the clothes to sit beautifully on you and you want it to be proportional to your frame. So being self-aware is very important. And sometimes that means, you know, really knowing what your actual body type is rather than what you want it to be. This can solve a lot of your shopping woes. Obviously, we all tend to go out there and sort of look to things that we aspire to, but it is really helpful to know exactly, you know, what you need for building a wardrobe that you want to wear. So the first step is figuring that out. So one of the easiest things that you can do is buy a cloth measuring tape. Unfortunately, the metal ones do not work as well. You want something that can go around your body. When you're measuring, you obviously don't want to hold your breath. You don't want to stick your gut out. You want it to be really true. So, you know, the goal is to sort of have the tape never be pinching and never be too loose, just right up on the body. So what you're going to start with is you're going to want to start with the shoulders, and that's an easy one. You just go tip to tip. So that's your average, you know, shoulder dimensions. Then you're going to go to your bust and you're going to measure the fullest part of your bust, which is essentially right here under the armhole. And you're going to go all the way around back to the same place. That's going to be that measurement. Then you're going to want to do your waist. Now, obviously, a lot of people have different definitions of your waist. Your waist is right above your belly button and right below where the rib cage ends. That's your natural waistline. And essentially, it's the smallest part of your waist. So same thing there. You're going to go all the way around, and that gives you your natural waistline. Then the last one is going to be your hips, which is the circumference of the fullest part of your buttocks. So those are the 4 measurements that you need. Then you can go literally on YouTube and, you know, there are things like a female body shape calculator. You can type that in, how to identify my dress size or body type. Another fun one that I like is stylecraze.com/tools/4 body shape calculator. So type that in if you want. Otherwise, honestly, if you literally just type it in Google, you'll find a million places to do it. So you measure those, and then basically what you're going to find is there are about 5 different body types that are generally, you know, most people use. The first one that we're going to do is the apple body type, which is also known as the circle or round body type. About 14% of women have this body type. And essentially what it is your bust is about 3 inches bigger than your hips. So essentially you're somewhat top heavy up here. You know, essentially you have a heavier upper body, in comparison to your lower body. People with this body tend to have broad shoulders. The goal for this, just so you know, body type is essentially to focus on highlighting the shoulders and the legs, and essentially taking less focus right around the middle area. Usually this body type has slimmer limbs, aka arms and legs, specifically the arms. You might have wider shoulders. You might be, for some, if you're naturally smaller in the bust, you might carry your weight a little bit more towards the midsection. So you're gonna sort of have a heavier midsection and a little bit less, obviously, definition in that area. So the idea here with this body type is to take away the attention from the weight and the concentration in this area, what you can see here, and accentuate the other parts. So flaunting your legs is a really big thing for this body type. Essentially, it takes away the attention from up here, and you know, in this case, it helps balance it out. So things you're going to want to look for are flared pants, straight legs, skinny pants. As far as dresses with this, and for most things, you know, the goal as far as any body type is to elongate your frame. So, you know, there are tricks and trades that people use. You know, obviously wearing a heel helps you do that. Usually wearing monochromatic things, this goes for everybody, helps you elongate. And then choosing necklines that help do that and essentially elongate the illusion of a torso will do that. So that's a V-neck, a deep V, if you can pull it off. Those are obviously going to work great for this body type. Pear cuts tend to be really good if you're really, really heavy set right in the middle. They tend to sort of disguise it a little bit. You know, you got the added rufflage usually. It just sort of helps, you know, cover it all. You also, obviously, like I said, monochromatic tones are going to be great. Dark colors are going to be great. 3/4 length sleeves are also a good friend for this body type, as well as flowy tops. Again, it's just sort of helping, you know, do what we call a trompe d'oeil in French, which is essentially shifting the eye's perspective of where the balance is. So one way to do that is to shift the focus by wearing prints and patterns as a layer, not as a full thing. Obviously, you know, wherever you tend to put prints and patterns, it draws the attention there. So in this case, either rock them on the bottom or use them as layering pieces. And again, it'll sort of help add some texture and layers, so it defers that. And you can do them with jackets, you can do them in layers underneath, whatever floats your boat. Flared bottoms are really great for this body type on the bottom, helps balance it out. Palazzo pants, which are sort of like a big wide leg, for those of you who might not know that term, help create balance. Since your shoulders are so broad for this body type, you want to make sure that obviously you already have a large bust line. You want to make sure you wear the correct bra that fits properly, whether that be minimizing a little bit or just making sure that it's not, you know, insane over the top. That's going to help you. Steer away from really form-fitting tops, because obviously that just draws the eye right in. It's better to do some sort of flowy top with, you know, like a tighter pant in this case. Low rise and straight leg pants are really good for this body frame. They basically help complement the shape and minimize, you know, essentially keep that like area tight and taut and tender. Shift dresses are a really good silhouette as well for this. And what you want to sort of tend to do is keep the details on the very top up here or on the lower third of your body. So essentially, again, trying to camouflage this and bringing the eye up here or bringing it all the way down. As far as things to avoid for the apple shape, you want to avoid wearing super figure hugging dresses and wearing tops with skinny jeans that are basically tight all around. It's going to basically make the bulk look a little bit more visible, so that's what you want to avoid. As we move through our fruits, we're going to now go to the pear-shaped body type, which is essentially keeping the heft of the body in the lower body. That is what I am. Essentially, your butt and your thighs tend to be larger than your upper body. About 20% of women have this, and we all have the Kardashians to thank because right now it is considered the most curvaceous body type. The advantage of this body type is you can essentially create the illusion of an hourglass figure by doing the proper styling. So in this body type, your shoulders are a little bit narrower. Your hips are obviously wider. What you want to do is strike a balance in your outfits to enhance the upper part of the body. You know, in this case, you know, the hips can be significantly larger than the bust, and you know, the shoulders can be a little bit narrower, sloping, not as broad. Usually the legs are noticeably larger as well, not just the hips. And so in this case, you know, you might have a little bit more muscle down there, you know, whatever it is, essentially it's like a triangle, essentially. So for this shape, wide leg pants are actually your great friend. You tend to want to pair them with a tighter form-fitting top because again, that's going to accentuate up here. A-line skirts are a great coverall and sort of workwear for everyone, every age, you know, every type of top you can pair with it essentially. Dresses with patterns or ruffled tops, add, you know, definition up here, and again, draw the eye up, make your upper body look great, and adds just a little fun flare up there. Skinny jeans are good, but you want to pair it with a loose, you know, and flowy top that sort of helps create the hourglass illusion. Crop tops, obviously, if you are okay with your belly showing, you know, obviously a trick there is wearing a super high-waisted pant, even a paper bag pant, which sort of has that little tie, so it ties in the waist a little bit. It adds balance. In that way, you can wear crop tops if it's age appropriate or appropriate wherever you're going. Sweetheart necklines, which are here, are really lovely. Deep V's, once again, always everyone's friend. Scoop neck and boat necks are also really lovely for your décolletage and will help balance your bottom out. Fit and flare dresses, once again, if you are fond of dresses, are really great. And, you know, one of the reasons they're great is essentially they highlight the smallest part of your waist, which always, you know, as a woman is something that you want to do if you can. Off the shoulder silhouettes are really great again, because it just sort of keeps the, you know, shoulders out and about and a focal point. Structured jackets are really great. A-line skirts, once again. Try and wear tops that do accentuate your shoulders. And again, wearing a bra that adds, you know, a little enhancement to the bust never hurt anyone, you know, in this department. Also, you know, wearing skinny pants can be great, but you want to make sure that, you know, you wear ones that hug your ankle, because, excuse me, they don't hug your ankle. Essentially, you want to crop them up a little bit, because the longer the fabric goes on your ankle, the more it sort of helps the problem by making you look like an upside down triangle. So you just sort of want to avoid those if possible. You know, it's much better to sort of add like a bootleg or a little something down below. As far as avoidance is on this body type, same type of thing. You sort of really want to avoid pants or tights that narrow your leg generally. And you want to avoid wearing form-fitting tops with loose bottoms unless it is something that works really, really well. So that is the pear shaped. Then we're going to go to the hourglass shape, which, you know, I think every woman sort of hopes that they have, because essentially it's the easiest one. It's the most balanced. 8%, and only 8% of women generally have this body type. So just remember that. But basically in this body type, you are balanced most proportionally, top and bottom, with a well-defined waist. So, you know, they get the easy pass on this. But the goal, obviously, for this is if you do have this body type, you know, you want to use the age-old adage, flaunt it if you got it. You know, make sure you highlight your curves, don't hide them. Find clothes that accentuates your body. And, you know, the goal again is, since you have this well-balanced figure, your dresses should do the same as well. So find a dress that sits really well and really nicely on your curves. And then, you know, it'll help follow the outline. Dresses that cinch the waist obviously are fantastic for this body shape. V's or plunging V's are really great. Same thing, sweetheart necklines will help sort of flaunt your upper body, just like in the pear shape. Jumpsuits are a really great option for this shape. I tend to think that jumpsuits sort of work well on anybody. It's just about finding the right jumpsuit. But obviously this one, a good strapless, you know, more form-fitting for this shape works really well. Tailored blazers and jackets work really well. Pencil skirts obviously really help accentuate the curves. Wrap dresses are another one where I think they sort of go really, really well for everybody, but obviously very well in this case for perfectly highlighting the smallest part of your body, which is your waist. Anything with an elastic band obviously is your friend as an hourglass body shape person. You do want to focus on more tailored silhouettes. Cap sleeves are really great for hourglass body shapes, as well as flutter sleeves. Tank tops are obviously good because you can showcase everything. Fit and flare dresses, once again, help naturally play up, you know, all your best features. And so basically the goal is using, you know, high-waisted pants are really great. Floor grazing flares are really great. Obviously paired with a heel adds the height. Stretchy jeans, leggings also help show off the curves. And then, you know, the best inseam, once again, is not a cropped length in this case, because, you know, you can sort of pull off most anything. Almost anything looks great on this type. The only thing that you want to avoid is wearing anything too boxy, you know, too loose fitting, because obviously then it just covers everything up. So that is your hourglass body shape. The next is the rectangle body shape. In this case, 46% of women are this body shape. So, you know, this is something that most women need to deal with. The rectangle body shape is usually well balanced from the shoulders to the hips, but basically there's just not that much definition. You have a similar width throughout your whole body. And essentially from your shoulders to waist, it's kind of a little bit more blocky. So you want to work on creating, you know, curves. In this case, you know, because the waist is about the same as the hip and the bust, you know, and your silhouette isn't as curvy as the pear and the apple shape, you're gonna, you know, have this sort of straight up and down. And so the idea is to flaunt the assets that you can. So in this case, your arms and your legs are your assets. You want to focus on enhancing those as much as possible. You can do so by choosing A-line skirts, like I said, always everybody's friends. Ruffled and layered tops are really great for this. Dresses that add definition to your bottom are actually really great for the rectangular body shape. Necklines that add a little bit of meat to your upper body are really well. So again, drawing the definition up here, your décolletage as a woman is always one of the best places to bring the attention essentially away from your body and up into your face. So I tend to use that trick quite a lot. Sleeveless options are really great. Strapless options are really great. Again, sweetheart necklines. That's also something that just adds a nice romantic sort of feminine feel, which in this case, obviously, if you feel like you sort of have a blocky situation, you know, again, it helps add that feminism. Blazers are really great. Long jackets are really great. And even capris are really great for this body type. Again, it just sort of brings the eye where you want it. Trumpet and pencil skirts, I'm so sorry, it's like hard for me to talk today for some reason. A Monday of all Mondays, are really great for this shape. Again, the wrap dress is really great. If you have any waist at all, it just sort of helps pull it in, and it sort of gives that wonderful hourglass shape. They really nip in and create a waist wherever you can, whether that being a little bit higher or a little bit lower on you. You want to stick to darker colors in this case. If you're going to do a print, you know, if it's a stripe, do a vertical stripe. Keep the patterns smaller rather than larger. That's always going to help as far as dimension. And A-line styles are obviously really great. Halters, racerbacks, scoop, and round necklines are all great. Again, like strapless, like I said, you're going to want to play up the collarbone and downplay your shoulders. You can elongate your neck once again with narrow necklines such as V-necks, deep V's, that kind of thing if you're uncomfortable. You're going to want to lean towards statement collars. So even something like this where it's just a change of color and it draws the eye up, that's going to be a nice little trick. You can try embellishments up here. You know, all those types of things really work well to sort of draw the eye in the direction you want. And by the way, that can include collars, that can include, you know, elasticized leg bands at the bottom, whatever it is, basically bringing the eye out to the extremities. Pea coats and dusters are really great for this shape. It essentially ends up being like a nice coverall, but because it's long, it helps elongate the frame. Bomber jackets are actually really nice because it just sort of has that loose feel. So if you feel comfortable in those are really great. And they're just sort of pinched at the bottom. So it gives the illusion, you know, of some curves. Flowy outerwear is also great. As far as things that you want to avoid, you do want to avoid dresses that are sort of overarching. Again, it's that boxiness added to the boxiness. So you want to tend to avoid those. Styles that have boot cut bottoms and make you appear taller and lengthen the frame. So those are good as far as pants. And as far as jeans, skinny jeans and leggings actually work really well. You can, you know, have a structured trouser. Those are actually really nice. And opt for floor grazing lengths because again, the longer it is, the more, you know, coverage you have and the more length you get to yourself. So I believe last but not least, you have the inverted triangle body shape. This is basically your more athletic body shape. Your shoulders are going to be much broader than your hips. You might have slim hips, but like really shapely legs. In this case, what you're going to want to do is balance your broad shoulders with your narrower lower body to create the hourglass silhouette. So here you're going to want to add definition to your hips. So you want to create a focus on them to create the balance up here. Straight cut jeans and dresses that have an inverted V look are really pieces that suit this body type. Since your hips are much narrower than your shoulders, pencil cut skirts work really well. Skinny jeans paired with any tops truly work well on this frame. V-neck necklines, again, work well to create the illusion, but in this time, of narrower shoulders as opposed to lengthening. They do both, but in this case, it helps bring the eye in this way. So that's just sort of, you know, an eye trick that we use for bringing in the focus. You want to sort of keep all of the patterns and prints and ruffles and layers be a part of the bottom part of your look. Again, to sort of create the balance and keep the upper body minimalistic, whether that's, you know, one color, you know, just simple. Wrap styles, again, look really, really great, but in this particular shape, wrap tops work really well. A-line skirts, again, help enhance your lower body and help balance your upper body. Fit and flares do the exact same thing. It's a great shape. And then, of course, with this body shape, you want to avoid too much layering and defining of the upper body because, again, you want to keep the definition down below. So as a general rule for a couple of these things, just so that we sort of go over it one last time, if you are looking to accentuate your legs, these are your friends. Shorter dresses, flare jeans, mini skirts, and obviously nude heels, because that helps elongate, again, it sort of makes the leg look a lot longer. If you want to accentuate your curves, crop tops are great. Pencil skirts are great. Anything belted is great. So even if that's a belted jacket, belted dresses, wrap dresses are really great. And belted wide leg pants are really great. They sort of cinch right in at the waist and still give you the feeling of coverage down below. As far as the idea of creating the illusion of curves, if you can do a side cutout, those really, really help as far as dresses. Sweetheart necklines are really great for that. Ruffle tops are amazing, and belted dresses are great. And then again, accentuating different parts, just use it towards what part it is. So essentially accentuating your upper body, you know, A-line dresses and skirts are great. Embellished tops are great. Printed tops, poofy sleeves and poofy soldiers sleeves and silhouettes are great. And then for the bottom, same thing. You want to add the detail down below. So that is the general gist of it. I am now going to take a look at some of the questions. If you have any to type in, feel free. Also, while I have the chance to plug one little thing, I of course want to invite any of you guys to a summit, a style summit that I'm doing on the 11th, and the details are right up here. You can type in my promo code, but it's essentially a really great fashion summit and beauty summit that is tackling a lot of, you know, the topics that we need to talk about right now, from diversity to inclusion, whether that's ageism, sizeism, the LGBTQIA plus community, all that kind of stuff we're going to cover. And it's going to be with a lot of leaders in our community, from top celebrity stylists, hair and makeup artists, leaders in the community, from big CEOs, entrepreneurs, big fashion designers, all that. So anyways, general invite for that if you'd like to come. And I will start on the questions now. So the first question is, what about how shorter, thin, small women should dress to look taller and older? So in that particular case, obviously heels are your friend if you can do it. You know, if you tend to be someone like me, who once I had a baby, I basically could not wear heels anymore. You know, look to chunkier heels, block heels, boots, all those types of things help, you know, sort of give you the illusion of height. The higher you can do, the better. Platforms obviously are really great, but whatever you can stand, obviously get your height there. As far as really looking taller, you know, the main thing, again, monochromatic looks really, really help. So that means wearing top to bottom the same type of color, whether that's red, whether that's black, it's going to help elongate your frame. Again, choosing those cuts that really help with that, as far as the deep necklines, you know, the V-necks, you know, you're going to want to show a little bit of skin, but, you know, sometimes I tend to think that the 3/4 sleeve like this is all you need. And then essentially, you know, if you build the whole body up, it will help you look taller. Obviously, avoid patterns and crazy prints and crazy ruffles if you can, unless it's something maybe a little bit up here that might actually help you look a little bit taller, such as just shoulder pads, stuff like that. That always helps. So those would be my tips for that. As far as older, obviously keep it classy, you know, try not to wear the super, super short shorts or the tight mini skirts. You know, that's always just, you know, food for thought there. Let's see. Can crop tops be styled for older women? Any tips on how to style them? Yes. You know, the idea there is, if you can, you know, you just want to be consistent on what types of skin you show. So, you know, it's fine if you do a tank top, but, you know, it's all about balance, like we were talking about. So, you know, if you're going to do, a tank top, make sure you stay very covered on the bottom. You know, my favorite look to do with some of my celebrity clients is the wide leg pant. And you essentially just have to make sure it's high-waisted enough that it's covering what you're comfortable with and keeps it classy. So that could range from denim, you know, with a bunch of buttons up the front, and you just nip it right up there. It could be just a simple tailored high-waisted trouser. It could be a paper bag silhouette. And then, you know, just make sure it's a classy top. Don't make it too tight. You know, you want it to be form-fitting, but obviously not pinching anything, because then you can get rolls. You know, make sure you wear the proper, you know, bras underneath to keep it classy. And then if you want to keep it super classy, as far as like the older generations, what I tend to say is same thing. Just keep it either long sleeve or 3/4 sleeve, and then you're good to go. Another trick that I like to do just to keep it classy is to do just a nice sort of collar necklace up here, a nice statement piece, so that it all sort of pulls it together. But the idea is that, you know, it's still fun and flirty without being overtly, I'm going to the clear. So that's what I would do. Thank you so much. What accessories are good to have in your closet for bringing out your clothes and be stylish? You know, listen, as a sustainable advocate, I would always say when you're choosing your jewelry, choose to spend the money wisely and, you know, find pieces that are really meaningful to you, whether that be, you know, a secondhand thing from your grandma, or whether it be, you know, a splurge at a nice, you know, jewelry store. For those pieces, just make sure that they are something that you will obviously utilize throughout your whole lifetime. So don't just get trendy stuff when you're really spending money on jewelry. That being said, costume jewelry is one of my favorite things to use. And there are many, many brands these days that make costume jewelry that looks real. So there really is no real reason to sort of break the bank in that. I think every woman should have a pair of hoops. I feel like, you know, at this point, they are as classic as the stud, or as a tiny little necklace. You know, obviously I would say invest in a watch. For me, it's something that I find really, you know, adds professionalism to any look, you know, what have you. I really like statement necklaces because I think what they can do is essentially take an outfit and it almost looks like it's a piece of the outfit, which I love. I mean, I'm all about, you know, layering and all that kind of stuff if that's your vibe. But if people tend to fear that, you know, it's a nice piece where it's just one thing. Usually they can go with anything. Right now, chain links tend to be very, very popular. But, you know, it could be a nice piece of costume piece with a ton of gemstones. And it just make sure that it wraps right where the collar is. So it almost looks like it's integrated into the collar. I love that trick. You know, as far as the rest of it, you know, I think it's always good to have a couple layerable bracelets. Good cocktail rings are obviously, you know, a must. You can always just throw them on. And then, you know, that's really it. As far as accessories, you know, hats come in and out of play. I think people have varying degrees of sort of where they're comfortable with hats. So that really is up to each, you know, person themselves. But bags, obviously, always a great tool. I love pairing bags and shoes. I think it just, you know, really adds texture to the look and sort of can pull it all together. So same thing with that, you know, depending on what, you know, how you like to implement your flair. Obviously, you know, a good bag is always something to bring around and can be utilized to create the full look. Let's see. Someone wanted me to ask, what is your favorite go-to store or boutique in LA to find great fashion? Ooh, well, I mean, I am all over the place. So, you know, obviously I hit Rodeo Drive for my clients because, you know, they tend to be heavy hitter spenders. But that being said, you know, I really like doing vintage shops. There are a slew of vintage shops around town, and they range, you know, all over the place. Again, you have some, you know, more high-end vintage, like what goes around comes around, you know, places like that. I really like the sort of, to be honest, department stores for me personally are some of my favorites. You know, if you have to hit the fast fashion places, you know, the Zaras and the H&Ms are always great at making really good, you know, knockoffs, Topshop. You know, if you're going to go the trendy route, you know, obviously, again, and the sustainable factor, I would say just try and get some good wear out of that. Don't just buy pieces because they're cheap and then you can just chuck them. You know, try and still keep those, or do invest in the nicer pieces. But the department stores obviously tend to have the best, you know, array of fashion with the most inclusive brands and the deepest variety. That being said, you do have some smaller stores, like Satine is a lovely, you know, boutique-y one. You know, if you're willing to really spend money, Maxfield's is a really fun one. But, you know, I really like to find the really quirky places. So I would never say that there's one that's better than the other. It's obviously sort of what you're looking for. But it is fun to literally just do a Google search, and if it's on a specific thing that you're looking for, type in that thing, and it tends to help you find, you know, some of these sort of off-brand little boutique stores. So that would be my biggest suggestion. Yes, thrift stores are amazing. I mean, I'm all about that, obviously, again, from the sustainability standpoint. You know, Decades obviously is a really great one. But, you know, I mean, literally I shop at like the Rose Bowl out here. I think it's really fun to go the extra mile and really, you know, I don't mind the digging because it's what I do for a living. So I sort of enjoy the thrill of the hunt. So if you can find flea markets, you know, the Melrose flea market has some fun stuff sometimes. You know, it's just sort of thinking outside of the box. I love that stuff. So yeah. Are there any more questions? Body type, anything? Hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, I love Girls Night In. It's such a wonderful concept, and I really appreciate all of your support. So feel free to DM me if you have any more questions. Obviously love to help out. And oh, we've got one more real fast before I sign out. What to wear on a date? I mean, that's a good question. Obviously, you know, you want to put your best foot forward and your personality out there when you're going on a date. So, you know, I would obviously say veer towards what makes you comfortable. You know, for me, and this sounds ridiculous, but like I'm an eater. So for me, that is something I always want to take into account. I want to look sexy, but I don't want it to be tight or I can't eat, you know, a burger if I want. So for me, you know, I tend to think that it should be a nice, happy medium of, you know, the strong, powerful woman that you are, but also incorporating some great feminism into it. So I would say like a full power suit might be a little bit too intimidating these days, but a beautiful dress, you know, you can never go wrong with your little black dress. I always love doing a pencil skirt and a nice blouse. It feels still like somewhat professional, but not insanely intimidating. And then obviously, you know, any sort of like wide leg trouser is always great. Same thing, you could do it with, you know, a little crop top or just a nice, simple, you know, sort of more form-fitted blouse. Or obviously just go jeans. Like if it's a casual place, a casual date, you know, pop on the right jean for your body type and then just a cute little top. And I think as long as you're comfortable, that's what matters the most. So that's what I would say. Are you doing another girls' night in if they ask me? Wink, wink. Yes, I love this platform. So whenever they ask me to do something, we will create another fun topic to do and I will join in, no doubt. What looks best on plus size with large legs and a small bust? Again, this goes back to sort of the pear-shaped idea. Anything that we talked about there, where essentially you're bringing the focus up towards your bust, you know, you can amplify it and wear a bra, do a little push-up, a little, you know, sort of changing of focus there. But that is what I would do. Just remember to sort of keep, you know, the darker colors on the bottom and the focus up top. And that's going to be your best bet there. I tend to really like on that note, if you're willing to really bringing the bright colors up top. So, you know, if you're someone who can pull off a fuchsia or a magenta or a bright yellow, even whatever it is, that would be my suggestion, because I think it really does, you know, I think people forget that your eye really is drawn to certain things. And in wardrobe specifically, like your immediate reaction is to go towards the loud color. So just bring the attention upwards. Yeah, florals are great. I do love florals for date night and beyond. Let's see, suggestion for dresses when you have a low waistline. Dresses don't work that have a waistline or belts. Yeah, in that case, you know, your best scenario, if you're comfortable with it, is just a really lovely knit. You know, obviously those tend to be more form-fitting all around. So I would say whatever your situation is there, just embrace your curves. You know, if it is something where you need to throw a duster on top of it to feel comfortable, great. You can still get the visual of that waist, even though it's lower in a knit, because it essentially just contours your curves wherever they are. You know, if you have a lower waistline, but you still have sort of a tight area right below the bust, try an Pear, you know, cut there. Sometimes that helps. You know, obviously the lower cut jeans are going to be great for you on that, you know, the ones that sort of hit a little bit lower, and then you can sort of do, you know, a flowier top that sort of ends right there. And so right where it pinches in, the eye will, you know, it'll draw the focus there. So that would be my suggestion there. But same thing, you know, pencil skirts, anything that just sort of accentuates your curves right around there. it doesn't really matter where it hits as long as it accentuates it. And again, just, you know, it sounds strange, but you know, every different designer has a different type of fit model. And so what you want to do is research, go to, you know, a department store, try stuff on and see what specific brands fit your body best. And you will find that some brands, you know, cut towards more petite sizes. Obviously in that scenario, I would say look for, you know, petite cuts, because sometimes those help, especially on a petite frame, obviously. But find the brands that work really, really well with your frame and sort of use those as a go-to moving forward, because they tend to not shift season to season. And if you find that, you know, in that particular brand, their waist cut is a little bit lower, it's going to be the same repeatedly year after year. So you just then wait until something else comes out, or try and find stuff that might be vintage from that brand, what have you. I'm happy. I'm so happy this was informative for you guys, truly. It is surprising to me always how little all of us know about that, considering we get dressed every day, you know, and a lot of us go through life sort of just, you know, finding the hit and miss and going from there. But it is nice to sort of have a little bit of a leg up. So I'm happy you guys chimed in. Are there any designers you can think of that cater to pear-shaped petite women? Oh, let me think. You know, a brand that I really like is Black Halo. It tends to have that sort of fitting silhouette, but does do really nice cuts for that frame. You know, they tend to be sort of more sheathy, which I always love for the pear-shaped silhouette. And she does do a lot of great petite stuff. It tends to sort of have this sort of tighter fit up top, you know, little cap sleeves, little waist belt, so it looks good on a petite frame. I tend to find those, I mean, I'm sure you can find them online, but I've seen them at Neiman Marcus, a few of the department stores. She's a great designer for that. Let's see, would be interested in exploring best color choices based on hair, eye, skin color, shade. Well, that might be our next discussion, to be honest, because that's a whole nother ball game. But essentially, you know, as far as tonals, you know, for your skin color, you know, you want to avoid stuff that is too far from it. So like if you have sort of a rosy, you know, peachy skin color, you want to stick to tones that will obviously match, complement that. Same thing if it's a little bit more yellow, a little bit more brown, you're going to want to stick to sort of the neutrals that are, you know, a little bit more taupey, a little bit like olive colors, that type of thing. As far as hair, you know, that again is a whole nother story. The general guidelines would be obviously, you know, as far as balance, again, you just want to maintain it. So let's say you have a collar or a turtleneck or something that, you know, creeps up on your neck. You're going to want to keep your hair up, for instance, like this. I wouldn't wear my hair down if I had lots of embellishments or a collar right here, because it's obviously going to take away from the beauty of the top. You know, I always think as far as any hair shape or what have you, pulling it up obviously gives you a nice little fake natural facelift. So it also brings the eye towards the face. So if that's what you want to do, you know, and you want to accentuate your beauty up here and sort of do a little bit more of coverage down here, that's you want to do. You want to bring your makeup, you know, accentuate that element. You know, if you have a deep V or a scoop or something that shows a little bit more skin here, that's when you're going to want to be able to wear something, you know, with a whole do. Obviously strapless, sweetheart necklines, let it all go, get it all out there. That's when you want to have fun with it. You know, obviously, as far as what you do on a day-to-day makes a huge difference there as well. Keeping it professional, you know, I would just say make sure that it's not, you know, disheveled. You know, you're not going to want to wear your sort of beachy wave, you know, crazy hair to work. It's just something you want to, you know, be mindful of. But as far as that, you know, that's a whole nother discussion that maybe that'll be my next thing that we can talk about. How to combine patterns. That is a very, yes, Tracy Reese, by the way, is also a very good call, whoever chimed that in, who now has a new brand that is called, oh, is it Hope for Flowers, I believe, where it's much more sustainable. She shut her main line down and has moved in that direction. So love that. How to combine patterns. So that's a really good question. The main goal with combining patterns is you want to make sure that you keep one large and one small. If you do too many in the same department, it just ends up being like way too much for the eye. So you can mix and match. That is very welcomed. And I actually think it really adds dimension to your look. If you look at a lot of people who do street style or such, you know, you should never be fearful of it. And that goes for textures as well. You just want to be mindful that it makes sense. You know what I mean? You don't want to do like a big floral with like a plaid, you know, unless you really think it looks good. And in that case, you want to make sure that the colors are right, you know, that it has some sort of, you know, complexity that makes sense. I always think, you know, for the bold and the fabulous, you can do it all over, you know, whether that be a big, you know, sort of, you know, trumpet skirt with a button-up blouse, you can do it, but then everything else has to be minimal. You know, pair the shoes with the lip color, with the bag, you know, you want to make sure you tie it all in together. If you're doing it just as far as little bits and patterns and pieces in there, have fun with it. You know, I think when people are just starting to try and figure that out, keep the fun in the accessories, you know, whether it be a bag in one print and then a shoe in another, or maybe a belt to break stuff up, or maybe just like a little piece of, you know, fabric, whether it's the cuff or, you know, the collar. That's the way to play it safe. But the general goal is to sort of try and, you know, keep one thing that makes sense throughout the whole thing, and then you can sort of elaborate and have fun with the rest. Clothing stores all closed down in our town. Suggestions for successful online shopping so I don't have to order 3 sizes to find one that fits. Yeah, again, you know, the big, you know, online pushes, you know, like the Net-a-Porter's, Moda Operandi, even the big department stores, obviously, a way to do it. You know, I obviously in this time and age really want to help promote sort of up and coming things. So even if that's, you know, reaching out to, you know, smaller designers and doing it that way, I obviously think that's a great way to go these days. But you know, you can obviously look to places like the Real too, which are really, really great. You know, right now, just in finding stuff that's at a, you know, sometimes a portion of the cost. You know, right now, I think there are people that are still doing sales. You know, I would say go for your basics. Any sort of big, you know, major brand, you know, the Theories, the Vinces, all those that have been staples, you know, are really great to shop with, because hopefully you've been to them and you sort of know, you know, what the cuts are there. But truly, you know, I think, you know, the department stores always, for me, I just, you know, I like doing the one-stop shopping where I know everything's there. It's all going to come in the same package. You know, it's easy for returns and all that. So that would be my, my best bet for that. Would it be possible for you to do a series with a group of us? Anything is possible, for sure. In that case, I would just say DM me. The other app that I'm on, just so you guys know, is called Glam Hive. It's the one that is helping host this big summit in a few weeks. But that is an app that I do virtual styling on the side. And it sort of has prorated rates. It's me and hundreds of other stylists, whether they're celebrity, whether they're personal shoppers, you know, at stores across the world. And it's a great tool if you want to access, you know, all sorts of us. That being said, we have never done a group one on there. So feel free to DM me. I could put something together myself or do it through them. Happy to oblige, for sure. For sure, for sure. So yeah. Unless there are any other questions, thank you so much. Again, I wish you all the best in this crazy, crazy world right now. Make sure to stay positive and remember that that starts truly here when you get dressed every morning. I am a full believer in, you know, starting your day with wonderful affirmations and, you know, stepping forward, you know, with the best intentions and, you know, just knowing that every day is a new day. And you know, feel your best while you're doing it, starting with your wardrobe.